Hey, welcome to day 3. We're going to do a guided meditation on Metta, which is goodwill or good vibes. This will be our core method for the course. It's really quite a quick way to progress in meditation. There have been a few studies on Metta. I'll link to these below. There's one study that found that it releases oxytocin in the brain, which is not surprising because that's kind of this love chemical, and it feels very good. And then another study found that just brief training of 7 minutes in this type of meditation boosted positive feelings and social connectedness. So even just a few minutes here is making a difference in how you feel. And then a third study found that 8 hours of this type of training of producing these pro-social qualities increased altruism and then actually altered the neural connectivity in your brain. Kind of rewired the brain so the prefrontal cortex, this kind of central command center, was more connected to the nucleus accumbens, which is kind of the reward center of the brain. And it makes sense. This is a really rewarding style of meditation. It's one reason that it's going to be the core of our training, because it feels good and that makes the mind gravitate towards it and want to be with it instead of wanting to go off into distracted mode. But first, I'll just ask, how was your daily challenge yesterday? If you're on the app, you'll see these daily challenges on the home screen. And if you'll remember, yesterday's daily challenge was to use the 4 R's 5 times throughout the day. So in your daily life, in just recognizing, oh yeah, I've been distracted for a little while, and then releasing those thoughts, releasing the tension in your body. Taking a moment to relish in that presence and any positive quality you can bring in. Maybe you went to your happy memory or smile, some way to bring up this positive state, and then remaining with that as long as you can. And if you didn't do that daily challenge, that's fine. That's the point of this practice, actually, is that we get to always start again. We get to constantly remind ourselves. And that's a huge part of the training, actually, is just building those memory muscles. In fact, the second definition of mindfulness that's given in the ancient texts is to remember the teachings, to remember to apply the teachings in our daily lives in any given moment. So it's both remembering to be aware and remembering to practice. So we're building that here. And this is the formal training now. So you can get comfortable with an upright spine. And I recommend that you find a position where you can be perfectly still for these few minutes here. And we will enter what I like to call the Metta verse. Metta with 2 T's is the traditional word for good vibes, or goodwill, loving kindness. If it helps, you can take a couple of deep breaths, especially extending the exhale longer than the inhale. And this will help you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, coming into this calming state. And you can also then scan down your body, starting from the top of your head and just releasing, relaxing, softening any tension. We often hold tension, especially in the face, around the eyes, around the jaw, around the neck. Relaxing that can also help relax your mind. That's one of the themes here, is how the mind and body are really quite interconnected. In some ways, the body, well, it's been called the 3D mind. It's or even the unconscious mind. So we'll learn more about that, but just notice as your body relaxes, as you take some deep breaths and allow any tension to flow out. And notice how your mind now becomes more relaxed. And similarly, if you smile, if you feel like smiling, And just turning up the corners of your lips can gladden your mind. And sometimes there's this tendency to go into a meditation like, all right, let's do this. But that's not really the attitude we want here. Actually, we're coming out of doing mode into being mode. So just notice what's in the mind. Chill out for a minute. Whatever's there is okay. Thoughts, maybe some feelings of restlessness or thinking about this and that. Sometimes the mind also gets sleepy just from quieting down. It's not used to quieting down until bedtime. So it might be programmed to start to fall asleep. That's okay too, but we don't want to sleep now. We're training the mind so you can release those thoughts and feelings. And the release step doesn't mean to push anything away or to suppress. It just means not to feed it your attention, and in fact, to release the tension in our body that comes along with it. We're telling the brain that everything's okay. Everything's okay. It doesn't need to worry about this or that and all the evolved urges to constantly be helping us survive. We just tell it it's fine right here. Everything is okay. Now, there's 3 ways that we'll work with to kindle this feeling of metta, of unconditional love, what the Greeks called agape. So, this feeling, it's a tangible bundle of sensations that can be felt typically as a warmth in the chest area. And that's kind of what you're looking for here without forcing anything. I'll give 3 different ways and you can find whichever is most effective for you. The first is to use a phrase. The phrase can be, may I be happy. May I be at ease. And you can make up your own phrase. May I be content. And you just direct that towards yourself first. It's like on an airplane where they tell you to put your own oxygen mask on before assisting your other passengers. With metta, we start with ourselves, and that makes it much easier to share with others. May I be happy. So the phrase is something you can plop in, mentally repeating it every 30 seconds or so, just to kindle the feeling. And then it's really the feeling that you're placing your attention on, the intention. And then you just kind of know you're sending it to yourself. You don't need to visualize anything. May I be happy. So the phrase is not to force anything. It's just inviting this feeling of kindness towards yourself. Okay, so that's the first way. And just notice, all right, maybe there was some new sensations there, some warmth in the chest. Let's go to the second now. the second way of bringing up the metta, which is to picture a cute animal or a baby. It could be a little puppy, a kitten, or a smiling baby. Whatever comes to mind first, you can stay with one image. And that feeling you get for them, that might come naturally, a feeling of metta. And once the feeling comes up, you can kind of surf that feeling, and you're sending it to yourself ultimately once it comes up, once you have the metta. Okay, very good. We're still experimenting here. Let's go to the third way, and then you can pick which one worked best for you. The third way is to picture a friend that has good qualities and it's easy to feel metta for them. Somebody you don't have a complicated relationship with. Could even be a teacher, somebody like the Dalai Lama, like someone you idolize, or whoever comes to mind as somebody that's very easy to see them smiling in your mind's eye and wish them well. You can even picture yourself giving them a hug. So once you have that feeling of metta, you can let that become your object of meditation. And notice which method worked best for you. If it was the phrase like, may I be happy, or the cute animal or baby, or the friend. And it's best not to hop around, but just to pick one. And that will be your kind of tool to bring up the feeling in these next couple meditations. Now, the feeling is what's important. That's what you can rest your awareness into. And then when your mind gets distracted, again, you recognize that. Release in the sense of not feeding it your attention or fighting with those thoughts. Just kind of let your awareness expand back out and relish in that feeling of metta again. If you need to, you can go back to the tool, go back to the phrase or the image of your friend or animal or baby. And then remain. The fourth R is to remain with that feeling as long as you can. So you only need to use the 4 Rs when your mind is completely gone, and you only need to go back to the tool when the feeling disappears. But this is an amazing skill that you're training here, the ability to activate unconditional love on command, something so powerful. I encourage you to keep sitting for at least 30 minutes if you can. Otherwise, you can just reflect back on your session, notice how your mind feels now, and see if you can keep this feeling going as you get up and move about your day. Remember, this is the Fit Mind lifestyle. You're training an entirely new way of being in the world, perceiving and interacting with others. So you can actually share this feeling, this attitude with everybody you come across. They'll notice that this is your state of mind just by how you act around them and how you are. So thanks for joining here. This course is supported by the Fit Mind nonprofit. If you're on YouTube, feel free to comment with any meditation questions or let us know how it went for you. And in today's lesson, you'll learn about the science of this really powerful, sublime attitude that we've trained here called metta. Thank you again for taking the time to train your mind.